existing data, biological specimens, epidemiological study, evaluation of social and educational programs, cognitive and perceptual experiments, medical chart review studies. Patients are admitted in patients, and then the bed ticket and chart you are reviewing and trying to get some useful information, which will be used for future patients, generalizable knowledge. So all these are clinical research. So research conducted on humans, groups or individuals, human biomaterials, human behavior, involves working with, not working on, working with ethics, working with human subjects to find answer to preset relevant research questions, preset pertaining to human health and life, aimed at understanding human health and disease and at generating evidence for interventions later on towards prevention, palliation and cure of diseases and at improving human health. Research, clinical research. So basic research and clinical research are very much interdependent. What you are doing is actually translating, and this translation is actually both ways. In science, in research, there is nothing like absolute truth. What you come out today, you can again put that to test. How true is this? How valid is this? These are an attempt to actually do a kind of classification: descriptive research, analytical research, experimental. The two types of research we just mentioned is experimental research or interventional research and observational research, which is again analytical. This could be randomized controlled trial. It could run parallelly, 2 groups simultaneously or 3 groups, maybe more. And then crossroad, we are not going into that detail. And then cohort study, cross-section study, case control study. On this side, descriptive, it is survey or qualitative research, and again another interesting research, qualitative research. Most of the research that we are engaged in is quantitative research. Numbers, we are playing with numbers. But then it is also important to talk of the feeling, trying to capture the feeling, the confidence of the patient, assurance, public assurance, qualitative research. It's all taken from qualitative altogether. Sponsors of biomedical research. Believe me, it is even the richest nation cannot afford to sponsor all the research that the society needs. They cannot afford. That much of resource not there. So it is private agencies, private industry. They have to put their money. Why would they put their money? There must be some opportunity, some mechanism by which they can also plow back their money, and over and above that they can profit with it. So in clinical research, more of clinical research, particularly when you talk of inventions, discoveries and inventions, there has to be intellectual property. It is the property of your intellect, and so the monopoly rights are there, and you can, without your permission, nobody else can commercialize it. So all these are there. I am not going into this detail again. Non-interventional studies. We are not again going into detail of this, time will not permit. But then this is a model which is becoming very popular these days because of the complexity of the interventional parallel group design, clinical trials. Industry is, even in US, the industry is taking real interest in non-interventional, observational, treatment outcome, analytical studies. A given treatment has been given, and how the patient is faring, what is the outcome. So I am following it. So there is no comparator arm either. If you do not, so when we talk about that invasion and non-invasion, what do you mean by invasion? One could be physical invasion. If I say administration of a questionnaire is also invasion. If you even there could be lot of ethical issues involved in a questionnaire. You have put some questions which are too sensitive. It is hurting my sentiment. How could you ask that question? So invasion, you are invading into my intellectual area. So invasive and non-invasive, the broader is the conventional way of looking at invasion is physical invasion. Okay. There could be non-invasive, means without a click, whether you can do a diagnosis. Non-invasive disease. Here we are talking of intervention, which has some link with this term invasion, intervention and invasion. But we should be very clear about therapeutic intervention versus research intervention. intervention for the purpose of research, and intervention there is no research, but every time I go to my doctor, I know there will be some intervention. Whether there is any prescription which is given doesn't contain any medicine, but it has asked me to stop smoking and to have this body for the coming 2 months and then come back to the doctor. Good friend. So that I put not away. No, it's not non-intervention study. This is actually not a prospective study. It's a prospective study, where outcomes of the particular therapeutic intervention is being observed, and then some useful information is derived from it. Non-intervention.
So, one draft can be placed. One draft.
Yes, that is an intervention.
What's the difference between non-interventional study and observational?
Not one difference. They are used interchangeably. Non-interventional and observational are no. I'll just come back. Non-interventional study here, that means there is no research intervention, right? But then the major strategy of capturing information out of that research is through observation. So that's why you can call it observational. But there is definitely therapeutic intervention. Because of the therapeutic intervention, that is the treatment, now you are following up the patient with the permission of the subject, and you are gathering data from that therapeutic intervention and making a good, reliable body of information which can be used as a cue or as a rationale for further future intervention studies. Okay, so that's about it. Non-interventional studies. These are the criteria. Product is registered, available by prescription. Drug is dispensed by prescription. Product is used according to the terms of the marketing authorization of the product. The physician's decision to prescribe the drug is independent of study participation, whether or not the participant takes part in the study. Is treatment intervention will continue. So these are. I'm not going again into detail because this is. What is the regulatory definition? Non-intervention study. Interestingly, the US FDA have accepted the need of non-intervention study. Okay? And they have also defined what kind of study can be called a non-intervention study. Although non-intervention study not always will require regulatory permission, according to the regulatory requirement, it is not a regulatory study. Okay? Drug is already marketed, but we need to know more about its performance in an uncontrolled setting. Clinical trials are done in a highly controlled setting. Okay? So that's about it. Examples: post-marketing surveillance studies, certain safety assessment marketed medicine studies, and this is the, I cannot pronounce this, more or less meaning the same thing. This is a German language. Okay, they call it the same. And this is the difference between an interventional clinical trial and a non-interventional study, how it differs. I'm not again going into detail, time will not permit. There are different similarities and dissimilarities between these two. Terms like this is also coming up. Large simple trial. Again, all these are, you can say, the manufacturer, the industry is coming out with these different kinds of designs. When they find it too binding, there is too much of regulatory stake on the interventional studies, so they are coming up with these kind of designs and models. Large simple trial, typical randomized control trial. These are the typical large simple trial. Here you see physicians, investigator, clinical research, academic community based, etc. Not skipping this. Registry based study. Somebody came and said that we need to get all these data, all the patients who have been put on pacemaker. We need to have a registry of all pacemaker carrying persons in West Bengal and develop a registry. What do you think? Study. But then they come to the cardiologist and say that and the company has this, the company markets this and comes and asks the cardiologist that we are going to have this registry study. Compilation of all the data, patients and how they are performing, prospective registry. Do you not think that is an infinite pressure on the cardiologist? Okay? That prescribe more pacemakers to your patients. and get them in, and particularly if the compensation to the investigator study is also based on the size of the registry. Basically, sitting in the ethics committee, you have to keep on the hidden agenda of the research. The simple thing is, if it is a registry, any registry is basically a public good. Why not it is in the public domain? Can there be an intellectual right here? These are the difficulties, but these are coming very frequently. Registry based study. We should be cautious about handling the protocols of registry based study. Registry, this is also type of registry. Stakeholders involved in a particular registry. Diverse other kinds of research. Last one is this, what we have been discussing. Document. Okay. So this is what the ICMR guidelines say, 2006. A biobank, a biorepository. Right now I was discussing with somebody asked that umbilical cord guard research. How do you get the umbilical cord guard? What is the source of umbilical cord guard? Umbilical cord guard cannot be generated in the laboratory. This is the human womb from where you can get at the time of delivery of the child. The placenta and the umbilical cord is cut. The umbilical cord is the connecting link between me and my mother, and it is cut after I am born. And then the part that is separated from my body, and the placenta is also taken out of mother's womb, and then that is thrown at waste, biomedical waste. But then you just try to justify it is otherwise waste, get a little umbilical cord and get the research. But then it was indeed waste, but it was part of not one person. The developing baby and the mother. Is it possible that you have not talked to the mother and collected the blood? And what are the current regulatory provisions about use of umbilical cord guard in the country? You have to have very clear. So one is, can you directly use umbilical cord guard and do research? I mean the lag period. Is it possible that you take, say, somebody is delivering a baby at this point of time, in half an hour time you will be using umbilical cord guard? It has to be processed. It has to be also ensured that the blood is not carrying some organisms which can cause infections. Okay. So all these issues are there. Then if you are processing it, and then if you are preserving it, it is a biobank, and then you are using umbilical cord guard for culturing the stem cells. And then you are going to use these stem cells for whatever research purpose. But then as of today, there are very clear guidelines, Indian guidelines, ICMR DBT guidelines. And that makes it very stringent. We have heard so much about the stem cell therapy. Today, as of today, there is nothing like stem cell therapy any longer. All so-called stem cell therapy is to be linked with research. So all stem cell therapy is to be linked with research. And all such research is regulated by not one agency, more than one agency. And there are very strict provisions and regulatory provisions are there. You have to first comply them, and then you can think of getting out some certification in umbilical cord guard research. So this is another gentleman, John Moore, whose cancerous spleen cells were extracted, and then he was alive after that, and then worked upon as the Moore cell line. Moore cell lines in the 1980s. Moore said that it was very dehumanizing to be thought of as more, not even more. I was not the person, I was the cell line. Linking or delinking data or samples with their identifier. I am answering your questions. Identifiable, not necessarily identifiable, but traceable, coded or linked, encrypted, anonymized, unlinked, anonymous, unidentified. So these are the classifications that has been suggested. like this group, and in US FDA they have accepted. So, too many grades. So what are the ethical things? Just ask yourself, should all research projects that use human tissues be considered and approved by the ethics committee? After all, nothing is only here. They are being proposed. So there is no ethical dilemma there. Pass it. Clearly, ethical clearance versus ethics approval. Which one is more right? Which one do you think is more appealing? Ethics clearance. When you talk of clearance, something which was unclear, it was something dirty and appeared, and approval, endorsement. When you talk of clearance, that it was dirty, I have cleared it, and so it is clear. And I don't have any other obligation, any further. But when you talk of approval, considerations for which you have considered for its approval, the safeguarding patient interest, you have to also ensure that continues throughout your study. So it becomes responsibility and obligation of the ethics committee to also ensure it is not just pre-implementation of the study. The protocol sounds ethical, but then the study actually conducted ethically. And even beyond the study, the research participants were also handled ethically. What do you mean by after the trial is over, after the research is over, the research participants are handled ethically? Think of a study in which a trial, in which the research participants are given some drug, investigational drug, but the duration of the trial was 6 months. But the patient's condition demands he has to be treated for 6 years. But it is an investigational product. The research completes in 6 months. Beyond that, what's going to happen to this patient? Where from the get his treatment? Does the investigator have any obligation to also ensure the patient continues to receive treatment? Is it possible to give him the same treatment because it is not yet licensed product? In that case, what should be done? Post-research access, post-research obligation of the investigator and the sponsor to research participants. Post-research. Should care-seeking individuals, patients or healthy person, be informed? If you talk about that pregnant mother whose umbilical cord blood you have taken when he gave birth to a child, he is not a patient. She is not a patient. She is a care-seeking individual. That's why care-seeking. Be informed that the surplus blood or other tissues collected as a part of care delivery may be used for research. That means it boils down to all the research institutes should internalize it as a policy that any patient who comes to me, it is not an entire research institute, it is also care delivery institute, care delivery. That any patient comes to us because we are a research institute, we will give him a consent form. That would you agree if apart from giving you care, providing you care, can we use materials for future research purpose? What research we do not do? It may be planned after 2 years. But do you have any objection? So this is what is called a blanket kind of concept. That is possible, that is accepted. That may be also possible. But then you are at least being transparent, asking the patient, telling the patient. If the patient says, no, I am not interested. Whatever you have to do it for the purpose of my treatment. No research, I am not interested in this. Then don't do it. What are the guidelines for storing human tissue for future research? Is there any guideline? What are the ethical considerations when human tissues are used to make commercial products such as tissue microarray? Tissue microarray, maybe some of you might be developing your lab, and finally will be taking patent, and finally will be hand over the patent that will be commercialized. We will also get some royalty. We will have big good laboratory out of that. But then the person who participated, what is his or her stake in this ethics? Is it acceptable to have a dichotomy between the ownership of the tissue sample? Who is the owner of that tissue sample? Can the hospital superintendent be the owner of this? Can the investigator be the owner of this tissue? Who can be the owner? Sorry. And the IPR in the products derived from the sample. Intellectual property. Okay, you have put your intellect, but then in developing your intellect, who contributed? he also has a stake. Our ethico-legal framework that govern the patenting and the ownership of the commercially viable inventions derived from human tissues adequate? Answer is no. If not, what are the possible remedies and how should the ethics committees, because ethics committees are handling these issues day in and out, how are they going to address it? There are no guidelines, no regulatory commissions. So, in this case at least, the ethics committee would function as a quasi-regulatory, not just ethical body, ethics body, quasi-regulatory body. Because tomorrow any dispute, legal dispute occurs, then the ethics committee will be referred to. The chairperson of the ethics committee will have to make a deposition in the court of law. So, it's as important, as serious. The object of a patent is to exploit a technical disclosure. It does not constrict the proprietary rights of physical objects such as tissues, human organs, or parts. Uncertain questions concerning the ownership of the biological material taken from humans by researchers still remains uncertain in most of the countries. In some countries, they are taking some important steps in this, but not in, at least not in our country. Consent for storage, reuse, and exportation of samples rarely sought in our country. Then we have stated what is the situation in UK. There is a new human tissue legislation called Human Tissue Act, HTA. They have developed an act, Human Tissue Act, guiding the removal, storage, and use of human tissue both from the living and the dead. The proposal to obtain a generic consent. That's what I was just mentioning about blanket consent. Or a generic consent for use of surplus tissue in laboratory quality control. You know, for any new analytical test, you always use quality control some samples from healthy individuals, and that also maybe some of you are donating. But then for that also, and research was put forward as a transitional measure. The genetic consent is valid for the use of surplus and archival tissue for quality control and research, which is ethically accepted. So in India, there are no guidelines, no legislation regarding the use of human tissue. The ICMR guidelines 2006 broadly cover the category of evaluation of drugs and diagnostics, epidemiological research, human genetics research, transplantational research, and assisted reproductive technology, but fall short of dealing with the issue of using human tissue obtained from the diagnostic lab for research purposes. So when reviewing research protocols where human tissues are used, the ethics committee should consider inclusion of benefit sharing arrangements in the MOU between collaborating institutes and or countries. Provision of clear guiding principles on cases where it is deemed expedient and just to compensate tissue donors. Scope of informed consent extended to include tissue donors' dignitary interests. And also ask, is the knowledge expertise of the local nationals being exploited to access local biological materials? I'm not going into these details, but these are issues. I can leave this slide for people who would like to go into details. The challenges are the review process should ensure that the following two competing interests are acted broadly. What are the two competing interests? Satisfying legitimate public concern about the ethics of these inventions. Because tomorrow the society may say that you scientists will use our computers. You are doing things non-transparency. Okay. And second is, but at the same time, not inhibiting innovation. That is one of our strong arguments, scientists, that you are obstructing in our innovations. So that also has to be seen, not inhibiting innovation and discouraging economic investment. Okay. These are things. One has to balance, trade-off between these two. Okay. I think most of these we have already discussed. Research results with variables that individual participants would be made aware of. It's also important. The other day I was going through one of your saying that if some innovative diagnostics you are trying to develop and you are comparing with gold standard diagnostics, like for instance malaria. The gold standard is microscopy, but then you think that okay, we develop maybe one drop of blood or even non-invasive. We'll use something, some device. If you hold it on the tip of your finger, it will say whether your blood contains malaria. But then you have to compare with the gold standard to see its specificity, sensitivity, reliability, validity, etc. When you do this, say for instance, somebody who has been, say, negative, think of a more dangerous issue. Somebody who has been said, no, you are safe, you are not suffering from cancer. And your device says, he is suffering from cancer. What would be your take on that? If the gold standard says he is not suffering from cancer, and so he doesn't need anti-cancer therapy. But your device, presumably it is a better thing, better diagnostic, and it says this person, and you have reasons to believe, you have what is that called? Mid-intervention analysis. What is that called? Interim analysis. And you have reasons to believe that yes, my diagnostic is better than the gold standard. Would you get back to the participant who had participated in this and tell him that no, you are suffering from cancer, you should better go to your doctor and try to get this thing? Because we have seen beyond doubt, we have also proven beyond doubt, it's the better this thing than the gold standard. Ethical belief. What should be done? That means the right of the participant to know of your research outcome. The right of the participant to get access to your data, your inference of the research at an individual level or at a collaborative level or at a national or international level. Okay, I am not going further this thing. Challenges are there. Repository collection, research samples, these are the unidentified samples, unlinked samples, coded samples, identified samples. Okay, unidentified also known as anonymous. US federal regulations, they have clearly mentioned about research conducted in unidentified sample is not human subject research, unidentified sample, and is not regulated by common law. They call it common law. If you cannot identify, this also answers your question. Research conducted with unlinked sample is research on human subjects and is regulated by the common law, but is eligible for exam. If not, think again. We'll be discussing some conceptual issues, therapeutic misconceptions, the uncertainty principles, the clinical equipoise. All these are globally deliberated upon and have been, it has been considered essential to incorporate this when we are talking of clinical research. In India, over and above this, these issues are also important. Vulnerable subjects, potential for exploitation. Who would you call a vulnerable subject? Dr. Bakshi has been using prisoners as research subjects, research participants. They are vulnerable. They have no autonomy to say no. Using my PhD student, making him, asking him to take a guard for my research. Vulnerable. He cannot say no. He has to complete his PhD. Vulnerable. So in India, sitting in the ethics committee, sometimes we feel that we are giving lot of service, we are providing lot of service to the poor patient who cannot afford his cancer treatment. You all know how costly is cancer treatment. So we sometimes ask them sitting in the ethics committee. So no, passive, because otherwise this part, many of these people, they will always something like this, because they cannot afford the treatment. At least if they participate in the trial, half of them will be getting standard treatment and half would be getting perhaps a better treatment, if not a non-inferior treatment. So we feel that we are doing a great service to the research participants. But then, while argue, can you do this to the top executive of a big multinational company? Make him participate in your research? How he is different from expert? So here actually you are exploiting women inaccordingly. You are exploiting inaccordingly. So from that angle, the second angle is who is a patient and how is his relationship with a physician. My physician is a researcher, I didn't know until I entered this premises. And then the doctor says that there is research going on. If you participate, you will get a good this thing. You did not have to pay. You will also get some more this thing if you daily wages and the compensation. That makes me really, I don't have to pay for my treatment. That's great. get back, he'll say, okay, let me think, and then gets back, sits in Google and tries to see, and then next day comes, no, I am not interested. I have seen comment. Okay. So you are exploiting my ignorance, you are exploiting my trust upon you, you are exploiting my poverty, my effort. So in India, all research participants are vulnerable. It is for this reason, ethics committee is nothing but representing the patient research participants. They are looking after their interests. They are the custodian, they are the guardian of the research participants. So the ethics committee should ensure that vulnerability is addressed appropriately. Competence in informed consent. This informed consent signing is a Western concept which has vitiated the otherwise trustworthy environment of research of this kind. If I am proud to say that as an investigator, I feel let this one pager be signed by the research participant, then I am comfortable. Nobody can catch me. Then I have taken consent. But then, from the core of my heart, I am interested. I know that there are a lot of unethical issues there. It is only because I asked that poor person to sign here without getting into what is written, and neither he can read itself, nor his accompaniment quiz signing as a quiz literate, but neither he has time or the inclination or attitude to go through or take the time to understand etc. So both of them signs and it passes. Informed consent is not a checklist sign. It is much more than that. It comes from you. It's a matter of attitude. It is very much lacking in us when we are participating in research as an investigator participant. Doctor-patient equation and autonomy is definitely very different in different cultures, different countries. Doctor-patient equation and patient autonomy. You cannot equate it. Situation in US, situation in European Union countries, and situation in India or China or Sri Lanka. So we have to think of this. Therapeutic misconception. What is that? When a person is coming to a hospital and asking, seeking care, and the doctor, after examining, says, well, we can treat you, but then, if you participate in this, you will get the treatment free of cost. The patient feels that if my doctor is asking, it must be good, it must be a better therapy. That means the research is a better therapy. Therapeutic misconception. Sometimes the doctor also, the investigator, is also entrapped by this therapeutic misconception. Okay? Participants often enter clinical trials because they think they will benefit from treatment or intervention. Sometimes the investigator may be a little misleading intentionally to encourage them to enter a study, but often they refuse to hear anything but the possibility of better treatment. Patients always ask, oh, you need not have to explain everything. 3-page document. Just tell me whether it is good for me. You are my doctor. But definitely it will be good for me. Otherwise, why should I ask? So I start. Therapeutic misconception. This is very troubling. What is the solution of this? People are saying, don't conduct trials in care delivery institutions. If an institution is a hospital, SSKM hospital, if it intends to do clinical research, it should have a separate clinical research wing where patients can directly come and ask volunteers that you have found an advertisement in today's newspaper, you are doing a research, I want to volunteer. So, dichotomy. So, not that take the advantage of you being the physician and try to enroll your patients. That's the precise reason why the industry is coming to you. You are primarily a physician and you have many patients, so you can enroll patients. So, this is. He is from UK, 76, and he is from US. The ethical question is, upon what ethical grounds may the physician offer randomized controlled enrollment to a patient? There are at least two answers, depending greatly on which side of attack you are. The uncertainty. The PI should be really uncertain about the outcome of the treatment if the investigation is not. Only if he is really uncertain, then it makes sense. But many a times, the PI, if not from the beginning, but the sponsor will brainwash you. This is a great molecule. Just need some time. So his uncertainty is gone. Clinical equipoise, there must be, it is not just the physician, but there must be genuine collective uncertainty in the scientific community about the comparative merits of the IP vis-a-vis the comparator. Genuine uncertainty, community uncertainty, peer uncertainty. So the clinical equipoise, these are the, you have to satisfy this, then only you can think of whether it is ethically sound. Addressing the ethical dilemma, the ethics committee members should put in place mnemonics, ethical efficiency of the ethics committee members, so that the patients are informed, ensuring the patients are informed. The ethics committee members are also informed what is the nitty-gritties of the trial and particularly the ethical issues. The ethics committee members are trained, ethics committee members are skillful in addressing the ethical issues. Transparency, there must be enough openness, frankness and fairness while dealing with the ethical issues and interacting with the patients or participants. Honesty, disclosure of conflicts of interest. I am sitting in the chair of the ethics committee, but I have some share with Pfizer, and today a project will be discussed, which is a Pfizer sponsored project. Conflict of interest. So conflict of interest I have to sign when I agree to be a part of the ethics committee. On the very first day I am appointed by the institute to be a part of the ethics committee, and the conflict of interest is also to be signed each time I come for participating in the meeting. Before starting the meeting, the conflict of interest form is to be signed. Okay? Integrity, truthfulness, impartiality, unbiased, independent. IEC, you have heard about IEC. What is the meaning of this independent? What is the meaning of this independence? Independence of whom? Independence of all possible conflicts. There used to be some thing, somebody said that we are not impartial, we are all political. We are in favor of them. It is something like ethics committee, if at all it tends to be non-neutral, it should be in favor of the research participants. They should look after the interest of research participants. Commitment to protect the participants, commitment to assure the public confidence. Accountability, accessibility. Ethics committee members should be accessible. The chairperson should be accessible to the research participants. In case there is any suspicion, any accusation, she can come and talk to. Taking responsibility, ethics committee has to take responsibility. Loyalty, faithful to the participants, and law abiding. If there is a law in the country, law of the land is to be abided. Ethics committee is based. So these are the principles Dr. Bagchi has said. Respect for persons, okay, autonomy, non-malfeasance, no harm, beneficence, and justice. Equal equity on. These are the 7 principles of ethical framework. Valuable scientific question. This is very important. Bad science is outrightly unethical. So if it is not been designed properly, it will generate data which are not reliable and which may be used in millions of patients. So there is a huge ethical problem. So if it has to be good science, then the question of ethics will come. A good science may be also unethical, but a bad science is always unethical. Valid scientific methodology, respect for enrolled persons, favorable risk-benefit evaluation, fair subject selection, independent review, independent of everybody, even the person who has appointed me, the chief of this institution. I got an appointment letter from him, but then I am not supposed to go by his directives. So when I see the ethics committee meeting, the day my independence is lost, I should resign, I should quit. Independence, real independence, and informed consent. Respect for enrolled person, I am not going into detail. Dr. Bagchi has talked about Nilambara Court, health security declaration, the right to withdraw at any time. I have given permission, I have given consent, that doesn't mean I have to complete at any point of time I have doubt, I will withdraw myself. I need not have to give reasons why I am withdrawing. Why I am withdrawing. Confidentiality, I am